Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. Do you see this? Parent group dismayed with overdue remedial plan amid language deficits report. Do you see that? Barbadian children cannot read, cannot write, don't know how to add, subtract, multiply. They don't have the math skills that they need to participate in society, not participate properly. They don't have the skills they need to participate properly in society. And they're talking about reform, education reform, but they still have the 11 plus. They still have the schools where parents who find money to give their kids lessons, education lessons outside of school, those kids may show up at those older schools built by your ancestors, but for parents who did not really plan, it's a oops, missed my period, oops, I think you're the father kind of thing. Big man, small man, short boy, whatever. You might be becoming a father soon, so I just want you to know those kind of situations where people don't have money, but they'd rather have a child than to admit that they're poor. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that someone would rather make a huge mistake than to admit they cannot afford to make that mistake? But anyhow, they're saying that a lot of children in Barbados cannot read, write, and do not know how to add, multiply, subtract, nothing. That's what they're saying. Now, are they going to go ahead and keep on saying, oh, 99.99999% is literate? Are you keeping on with that? Because everyone knows it's a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. Okay? We all know that already. We know it's an untruth. So you gotta come into some sort of reality at some point in time. You have to come into reality. Okay? You failed your children by having an apartheid kind of education system in Barbados. Although English is a first subject, although English is supposed to be your native language, although it's what they hear, English speaking parents and people in the neighborhood, it's what they hear, but yet they have difficulty speaking it. So is it something that is in the DNA that because it's not your first language per your DNA, it's being rejected? Something in the DNA strands are not like hooking on to English to know how to say, I am Henry. My name is Rebecca. You don't know how to say things. Who you is? Who you is? How you is? How old you is? You're going to keep on producing subjects like that speak like that. And then when you say to someone, you need to learn to speak properly, they're going to say to you, oh, you're playing great. You're playing great. Something that you heard like 250 years ago. Like 250 years ago, you hear someone saying, well, you didn't hear it, but you hear of people saying that people would say you're speaking great if you spoke proper English. So now with every duplication, because you keep duplicating yourself, I guess you love the way you are. You love the fact that you came into being from the way you came into being. You know you came, I don't have to say what you came, you know what you came from. And you must I love being Asian. Oh my God. I love having been born in Barbados. Oh, slavery was good to me. It was good to me. I am a proud Bayesian. I'm proud of my beginnings. I'm proud. Yeah, you walk around saying that. You actually walk around saying you are proud Barbadian. You are proud. You were picking cotton. You're proud that you were eating like pigs in a trough. You're proud that you work on the plantation. You're proud that your last name is Cumberbatch or Thompson. Oh God, my name is Thompson. My last name is Cumberbatch. You know, you're proud. You're proud of it, right? Because you don't really know your history. You don't understand. Up to 2024, this is the 21st century. You really don't understand what happened to you or where you came from, right? You really don't. It hasn't dawned on you as yet. And the sad thing about it is, someone has to tell you. Someone's going to have to teach you that what has happened to you, because you don't seem willing to figure it out. Why am I fighting against my brother? Why don't I know my neighbor? Why can't my neighbor pass through my track there to get to their house? Why would I put a fence to block my neighbor from getting to their house because they are landlocked? Why am I fighting over land with my neighbor? You're not trying to figure excuse me. You're not trying to figure out the things you do and why you do the things you do. Who are you mimicking? Who are you mimicking? And why are you continuing like that? Your kids are seeing you behave like that, and they're behaving like that, and it's going to go on and on and on, and every iteration is degraded. If you make a copy from a copy from a copy from a copy, the ink it's not the same as the original. Okay, it's not the same as the original. So the more you have more and more children and more children, and it's degrading, because you're not improving on teaching your children where you came from. It's not a mental improvement. Your paper here is telling you that there are reports that Bajans can't read or write, and they can't count money. They can't count. It's in your paper. And even if it weren't, if it weren't in your paper, don't you know? Can't you see yourself stumbling? Don't you see when you write that you don't know how to put a subject and predicate and, verb tense? Don't you know? Can't you see that? Aren't you hearing it? Aren't people telling you, when you go on Facebook, for instance, and you make a comment, for instance, and people would to tell you, speak properly, or you're not writing properly. Isn't that an indication for you to say, you know what? Maybe I should proof check before I do the send. Maybe I should check the dictionary to check my words, because maybe I'm not the best at spelling words and using words. Aren't you being prompted in life to look back on yourself? Aren't you? So the parents are dismayed? Parents dismayed? Well, did you plan to be dismayed? Were you planning what you did? And in your planning, didn't you know that down the road you may be dismayed? You didn't know you didn't realize I may be dismayed by making this particular decision. I may be dismayed because I don't have the money. I may be dismayed because I don't even know how to speak English and how to count proper. I may be dismayed because I don't live in a proper house. I may be dismayed because I don't have no place to put this child. I may be dismayed because I'm in debt. You don't know that you were going to be dismayed down the road? You didn't know that? You did not know that? Okay? So if you don't have the money to pay for your child to have lessons, to learn how to read, to write, how to count, how to do mathematics, you have to pay for that. The teachers are not going to do it. They never did, and they're not going to do it. If you are still looking forward to the 11 plus, that's a mental thing now. I'm not talking about the gymnastics that you use to get your kids, up to date to sit for the 11 plus. That is a mental thing, that 11 plus, where they segregate your kids. If you are not, or if you are looking forward to having your child take the 11 plus, you're going to be dismayed all your life. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, because you are assenting You are agreeing. You are embracing segregation. You are embracing it. And when a community, when a society like Barbados, from what you came from, when you embrace things like that, when you embrace thought systems like that, okay, when you embrace something that even the people who started it, they did away with it in their country. They don't have that system in their country, but it has remained in Barbados. You are embracing a system that is destroying you. But somebody has to come and tell you about it. Someone has to come and tell you that the system you have in place for education is something that is not going to work for you going down in the future, because what, you don't think about the future? You're dismayed about the future? Is that what it is? So everything you do, someone has to prompt you to do it. You can't think, you can't go to bed and before you sleep say, explain to me where my life is going in a prayer. You know, you say you're Christians, right? You're a religious country, right? So you don't say that. Explain to me where, if I make this particular decision, give me the rules that I can take, but the best road that's good for me. You put it in your system, and you sleep on it. You sleep on it, and you wake up the next morning renewed, and you say, oh yes, I know what to do, because you employed your higher self in that decision. Okay, so with you being dismayed, you have to look right back on don't look at and talk about dismayed at no plans and dismayed about what they found in no research. You need to go into the mirror and call yourself, just put it there, dismayed. Stamp it on your forehead, dismayed, because you're the one who created it. You're the one who created the situation where you became dismayed. Nobody else did it. You did it to yourselves. Okay? So Barbadians, for the most part, cannot write properly, cannot read properly, and they don't really know math. They don't know how to invest their money, how to roll their money over so that they can make money from their money. It's all a struggle, and some people will say, oh, it's a struggle everywhere in the world. But this is I'm reading from Barbados. I'm reading from Barbados, and I'm reading from a place that lies and says that almost all of their citizens are literate, which is a lie. It's a lie. It has always been a lie. Okay? It has always been a lie. Okay? So parents now are dismayed because the lie is showing forth. People are looking at you. People are on the island, the IMF, the World Health Organization. Everyone's saying there are people there, and they're like, what is this? What is this? They're seeing it. They're putting it in their reports. And it has been in reports from the UN since time immemorial. They've always had that. But you know what they say, if you want to hide information, you put it in the book. You put it in the book. So, they have those things in reports all over the internet. You're not as literate as you would want the world to think you are. And you know that for a fact. You know that when you have a pregnancy, it's a oops. It has not been planned. You know you do not have a room for a girl and a boy, because you're having more than one usually, and you should have a separate room for the boy and the girl, and you know that quite well, but yet you'll go on and get pregnant over pregnant. You do it all the time. Some of you have the audacity to come into the paper and say you need help. You've hit hard times, and you have 7 children and 1 in your belly. 7 and 1, and then you're pregnant. And you talk about dismayed. You're dismayed. And then again on the 11 plus and your system, your apartheid education system, you talk about being dismayed when you create kids hating each other, from children from 10 and 11 plus. You create a system where children are prejudiced against each other and judge each other because of a high school, and you talk about being dismayed, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, okay? It's never with the system you have in place, it's never going to get better. And you judge a child based on what it did at 11 years old? A society that came out of what it came out of. And you judge a child based on what it does at 11? When they're still children? Just want to play? You're judging that child for the rest of its life based on if it passed a test? At 11 years old? It's not going to get better. You are destroying yourselves. You are destroying yourselves. This is Sherry Veronica.